once you find something that lifts your spirits, brightens your day, something that you really and truly look forward to doing each and every single day, it's kind of like you're really not working, taxing yourself. You're doing something that you really and truly love doing, and you just look forward to doing each and every single day. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to be conditioned, a lot of sacrifice too. Every year you're trying to outdo the last year or get better from the last year. And that's what I was trying to do every single year, get better from last year. And you really have to put in some work to do that. And you're trying to work harder, diet harder, train harder, sacrifice more if that's possible. Trying to be the best at anything comes from within yourself. It's all about what you're willing to do, how far you're willing to take it, how much work you're willing to put in, how much sacrifice you're willing to endure.
Is there anything you regret from your bodybuilding career?
Nothing at all. This is what I enjoy doing, so this is what I'm going to do, and whatever the outcome may be, that's what the outcome is going to be. Regardless of what happens, I'm always going to enjoy myself and always going to enjoy life as long as I can be alive.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Ronnie Coleman, widely considered to be the greatest bodybuilder of all time. You won the sport's most prestigious competition, Mr. Olympia, a record 8 times, and claimed your first 2 titles while still serving as a full-time police officer. At your peak, you had a 58-inch chest and 24-inch arms and cut down to a staggering 0.33% body fat percentage for competition, while still weighing up to 300 pounds. You consumed up to 5,500 calories per day to achieve yearly gains of 10 pounds of pure muscle. Unfortunately, your intense training regime has had a significant impact on your body, leading to a total of 13 surgeries with 14 screws, 2 steel rods, and 2 cages now in your neck and back. Despite the major operations, you continue lifting weights to this day. You were recently featured in the Netflix documentary Ronnie Coleman, The King, and your book, Yeah Buddy, chronicles your many struggles and successes in the sport of bodybuilding. Ronnie, welcome to London Real.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, great to have you here. It was great watching the movie, and I really appreciate you putting yourself out there and showing us all the behind the scenes about you. There was one moment in there where I think you're talking to one of the other fellow Mr. Olympia competitors on stage, and one of them says, "Why do you do this, Ronnie?" And you say, "'Cause I love it. I love bodybuilding." And the competitor, I think he said, "You know what? I'm here for the trophies. I'm here for the money. I'm here for the girls." But it looked like he never thought whether he really loved it. But that seems to be you. And I was wondering if you could tell me, why did you always love bodybuilding? What was it about it? And where'd that passion come from?
Well, I started when I was 12, and it always gave me a real relaxed feeling, real comfortable feeling, a real enjoyment, kind of like brighten my day just about every single day. And once you find something that lifts your spirits, brightens your day, something that you really and truly look forward to doing each and every single day, it's kind of like you're really not working, taxing yourself. You're doing something that you really and truly love doing, and you just look forward to doing it each and every single day, just because of the feeling that you get from doing it.
There's that old phrase that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same way I felt when I kind of like worked for the police department too.
Right. You love serving people and you love working out and lifting weights. Those were the two things. That was enough for you, right?
That was plenty for me.
And if you look at the guys that you usually shared the stage with on a Mr. Olympia competition, I mean, how many of those guys actually loved what they did? I mean, could you count them on one hand? Was it 2 or 3 guys, do you think, that really loved it the way you did?
I mean, I think you got to have some kind of love for it in order to do what it kind of does to you. It's not that easy. It's not a lot of fun if you don't enjoy doing it. So I think you got to enjoy it in order to be able to just to do it, because it's, like I say, it's a lot of hard work, to put it mildly.
I'm curious, when I watch that documentary, I look at you back in the day in these competitions, and then I look at, competitors today who are on Instagram, and, they're posting pictures every day. They've got brand deals they can do. They got this whole other business over here. Whereas back in your day, especially for Mr. Olympia, you would work 365 days a year on the diet, on the training, on the sleep, and then cut weight, all for that one moment on stage where you would get, the crowd, the judges, a picture, maybe some video, and that was it. I mean, everything was on the line. In some ways, did that separate out the real competitors, or how does that make it different back then as opposed to today?
It's a different era. We always talk about that when we're doing this bodybuilding thing. You got to look at the era that Arnold was in. You got to look at the era that Lee Haney was in. You got to look at the era that when it first started out. Every era is different. You got to look at the era that I was in. Everybody was doing different things. So you got to work with what you have to work with. And that's what we basically did. We're just glad to be in there, working out, having fun, enjoying ourselves, and doing what we had to do to get ready for a show or whatever we was doing. So it was all about what was going on at the time, basically, what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so you just kind of have to deal with those times. These days, you have all the other distractions and social media. Back then, I guess you didn't have that. What was it like when it all came down to that one day, every year for that Mr. Olympia? I mean, what's it like when your whole year revolves around that one day? Do you remember those times? Was it stressful? Was it exciting? Do you think back and can you remember what that was like?
Oh, I can remember like it was yesterday. It wasn't stressful. It was more exciting than anything because you get, like you said, you spend the whole year getting ready for that one day, and so when that day finally arrives, you're the most excited person up there, most excited person that's competing in the show because, like I said, you spend so much time getting ready for it. But for me, I always had so much fun doing it. I enjoyed it. I was never even nervous in anything that I can recall, because I was always looking forward to that day. That day could never get here soon enough because I knew how much fun I was going to have because I had prepared myself. Like you said, the whole year you had prepared yourself. You worked real hard. You've done everything you possibly can do. You haven't left any stones unturned. And so you just can't wait for that day to get here. And once it finally arrives, it's the day that you worked for your entire year. So it's a very exciting day.
And what's the most important part of that day? Is it when the fans cheer? Is it standing next to your competitors? Is it getting the trophy? Like what's the most important part of that day for you?
The most important part of the day is actually getting to compete. Because like I said, you've worked so hard, you prepared endlessly, from doing all the stuff you have to do, because there's so much you have to do, from getting your routine together, from working out each and every single day, 7 days a week. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week job. Everything you do it revolves around getting ready for the show. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. So everything revolves around that. So that's why you so excited, when that day finally arrived, because you spent so much time just getting ready for it.
And when you're competing, are you looking at the other guys? Are you looking at the reaction of the crowd? Do you know you're going to win anyways? Like, what's that like?
For me, I don't really look at the other. I'm focused on what I got to do. I'm thinking in my head, when you're standing there, you gotta stay tight. You gotta be ready at all times. So you're just focused on whatever it is you're doing. And once they call you out, you gotta focus on hitting your poses right, turning the right way. It's just so much that you got to do that you're not really paying any attention to anybody but yourself, basically.
Right, and you've cut weight, you're low body fat. The lights are on you. You're tensing your muscles. I mean, I've heard the whole experience is mentally and emotionally exhausting.
Yeah, very, very mentally and emotionally exhausting. You got to be focused on everything that you're doing. Every single just minute you're just about up there on that stage.
Now, I heard some rumor, and tell me if this is true, Ronnie, that you never used to look at yourself in the mirror before competition, or would never take pictures of yourself. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I had somebody do that for me. I always had a nutritionist, they came and, made sure everything was together, everything was ready for me to step on stage. So I really didn't have to do all that myself.
But even you have to admit, Ronnie, that makes you unique, because most bodybuilders, when they're pumping iron, they're checking themselves in the mirror. They're checking to see the work they've done. But you're not doing that because you have a different philosophy about this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I've already, paid somebody to do that for me. So I'm just like, okay, I trust this guy. If I did, I wouldn't be working with him. So I trust his word. And I know he's all for me, and he's not going to mislead me in any way. So I'm ready to go.
So it's not an ego thing. You're not like, look how beautiful Ronnie is. For you, this is this is a mental challenge, and you're testing yourself, exactly. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, am I ready to win another show?
All right, so it's a mental battle you play with yourself for 365 days, and if you've won that battle every hour of every day, you walk into that show knowing you're going to win.
Exactly. Whether you're going to win or not.
Wow, that does make you unique, right? Because most guys on the stage had been looking at themselves, maybe had different philosophies of the way they approach their bodybuilding.
Yeah, you got to have the right attitude, you got to be confident, or else you're not going to do too good in this sport.
Okay. So, I've been doing the show for about 9 years. 7 years ago, I had Dorian Yates on the show, and he hadn't really ever done a show before. These shows were still new at the time. For people that don't know, 6-time Mr. Olympia from 92 to 97. And he came on the show and really surprised people that he was more than this hunk of muscle, that he had all these other ideas and thoughts. And I think as we talk today, people are going to realize that about you. I mean, you got your degree in accounting, highly skilled, a great cop. You were actually really good at everything you ever did, Ronnie.
I put 100% in everything I've ever did.
And that's fascinating. And I want to talk about that, but Dorian always talked about, a lot of the milestones he had as a bodybuilder. And I really liked getting to know Dorian. But one thing is, 4 or 5 years ago, I went down to Spain and I trained with Dorian. And I did leg day with Dorian Yates, okay? Mm-hmm. Now look, he's taking some guys that go on stage and taking them on leg day and they're throwing up in the parking lot, you know, up in Birmingham. There's footage of that, right? And so he put me and my 80 kilograms through a leg day. And I've lifted weights before, but he said, Brian, I'm going to take you to a breaking point and I'm going to ask you to do a rep. And he said, it's going to be like I got a little gun to your baby boy's head. And if you don't finish this rep, I'm going to pull the trigger. He said, that's the intensity I need from you. And I had just had a son. And I was like, Dorian, you know I got a baby boy. He said, yeah, I know that. That's why I told you that. And he put me through this leg press. I'm telling you, Ronnie, I had never been to that pain cave before. And he got 3 or 4 reps out of me after I thought I was done.
Yeah.
And he said, and I got done with that and the blood was coming back to my head. And he said, that's what it takes, Brian. But he said, it's that every single day. And most guys aren't willing to go to that pain level every single day. And that's what it takes to be a competitor. What do you make of that story?
That's exactly the way it is.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.